The Void, Series 1, Episode 5. O Come, O Ye Faithful. Written by Richard Marcus Powell. Chapter 5. It had taken a long time, but the task force had assembled and started moving. Progress was slow, but certain. It was the coordination that took the time, ensuring that every ship was in formation before jumping to the next system. It was necessary. If one ship started to drift too far ahead or behind, they could be picked off before the fleet could respond. HDR Hemming, we have arrived in Loomis. The rest of the fleet was in the process of jumping into the next system. We found the remains of a humpback-class freighter here. They must have entered the system before they were attacked. Be careful, Hemming, Voight cautioned. How does the system look? No trace of any hostiles detected. They could still be in the vicinity, so stay alert. We found the black box. Downloading telemetry from it now. Acknowledged. Could you send us a copy as soon as possible? Will do. Voight considered the victims. There would have been around 30 crew on a humpback, all dying within an instant. Commander, I'm receiving the data packet from the HDR Hemming. Thank you, Kane. Does it contain any streams? There is one. According to the data, they did jump into the system just prior to their destruction. I'll start the stream just before the jump. Kane started the stream at the indicated point. It was a panoramic view of directly in front of the freighter and wasn't very encompassing, but it was something. Streams were common in black boxes, but it was mostly telemetry data. Exterior views didn't usually mean much and were nowhere near as useful as the data, but one or two did provide some context. Voight and the command center crew watched the stream. She could see a few people were distracted by the stream, keeping an eye on it while they performed their duties. Eyes on the console, Lieutenant, she reminded, the lieutenant sheepishly complying. The stream started off unremarkably. The audio was of the command center crew, and they were performing all of the routine functions associated with jumping to a new system. Poor bastards didn't know what they were jumping into. This was a major drawback of the Jumpgates. The jump itself was largely blind. You knew where you were going, but not what was on the other side. You could tell if you had some form of communication, so a friendly ship that had open communications could relay data back, but otherwise, it was extremely difficult to tell. Even the Jumpgates themselves could not determine this. They logged events so it could be determined when the gate was activated, but not what had passed through. There was a blink on screen as the humpback traveled through the conduits into Loomis. As they arrived there, they found themselves surrounded by ships. There was a pause for a few seconds and a sudden panic among the crew before the ships opened fire and destroyed the freighter. That removes all doubt as to the adversary here, Schafer announced as he emerged from the conference room at the rear. Large fleet, too, Voight observed. Does the data give any indication to the number of Cadir vessels? Data specifies 32 confirmed vessels. There are a few traces that could be additional ships, though, Kane answered. Composition? Schafer demanded. Unable to tell from the data alone. They were destroyed before too much data was collated. 32 ships. But is that the whole or just part of the fleet? Voight analyzed. Assume it's only part until we know better, Schafer added. If it's only a part, we're going to be outnumbered, Voight assessed. We need to get eyes on the other fleet, if it exists. There's no other reports at the moment. Some suspicious activity has been logged in La Lima, but nothing else. Define suspicious. Possible sighting, but not confirmed, Voight read aloud. One of those unexplained sensor reading situations. Could be anything. Worth checking out, though, Schafer mused. Do we have a ship near Lima? HDR Herschel is 2 jumps out. We'll start moving in that direction. I don't want the Herschel getting too far ahead, though. If the Cadir fleet is on the other side of the gate they jump in on, they're going to have to slide immediately. They won't be able to survive that amount of firepower otherwise. An emergency slide might be necessary. Schafer was doing some mental arithmetic and felt the calculations the ship's AI would need to perform might be longer than the ship could withstand. An emergency slide would take them in a random direction for an unspecified time. It was never that long or that far, but it was sufficient to avoid a fleet. It still took time to initiate, but it was shorter than a planned slide. It's a calculated risk, jumping through a fleet of that size, Voight pointed out.
We don't know it's there yet.
We could draw the fleet closer together. Cruisers 1 jump out, everyone else 2 jumps.
Might be a wise idea. Hannah, could you implement that, please?
If it is the fleet, it does seem like a significant course change, Voight observed. Sir, Republic Command state there are reports of a battle taking place in the Soon system.
How far away is that?
6 jumps.
If that is the Cadir, who are they fighting?
It's not us. No reports of any military involvement.
Do you have a colony in Soon?
No official colony. The system contains only gas giants. There are refineries on those planets, but the total population is around 2,000.
Contact those refineries. Find out if they're being attacked.
Soon is in the same general direction as Loomis, so it does fit the pattern, Voight indicated.
Reorient the fleet. Make best speed to Soon, Schafer commanded. All Vanguard ships, wait on the Soon gate.
Schafer was curious about this report. If there had been a skirmish in progress, who could it possibly be with? Did the company mining in the system have its own military vessels? Some of the private concerns did equip themselves at such a level.
For undefended industrial facilities were always a tempting target.
It was usually pirates or some of the criminal organization that would be the normal aggressor, though, not an organized military.
Commander, any suggestions?
If we operate under the presumption of a second fleet, maybe it isn't a friendly fleet, but a hostile one. Perhaps the Cadir fleet are chasing it through our territory. That would explain the erratic movement and why the fleets aren't further apart.
That would make sense. But who would be the other faction? This base isn't really close to any other territory.
I couldn't say with any confidence. It could be UCH or LF, but they will be a long way from safety. Any Xeno species doesn't really fit. Either too powerful for the Cadir or too far away.
So this could end up being a 3-way conflict.
He couldn't fault Voight's logic. A pursuit would fit the travel pattern, but why was this happening in their territory? It could well be a UCH or LF fleet that had been split from his territory and chased ever deeper into their own space. Schafer did identify one flaw in this, though.
If it is another human fleet, why hasn't it been identified as such?
There's no way to say at the moment, Voight shrugged.
It's all just speculation until we get some actual information, Schafer cursed.